So my friend and I had this moment a couple of weeks ago while we were running the Great North Walk. She was my pacer, but she did run nearly 190 kilometers, I reckon, with me and crew for me, which was incredible. But we were trekking through the flood near Wondabine. So we walked about 3.5 hours on trail that essentially was now a creek. And then we hit flash flooding and we had to turn around and come back. And she said to me, we can do anything now. And it's really got me thinking about the things that women in particular can achieve. So I'm Suzanne Roth, and you're listening to Endurers for your daily dose of endurance leadership and life lessons. So many women that I work with and coach feel leadership a bit differently. And I've really been thinking about this because particularly in the trail running community, I surround myself with these women that are super strong and so capable. And it's got me thinking about the actual run that I did a couple of weeks ago and some of the core points for women in particular. So the first thing is, I believe that we underestimate ourselves, right? Many of us grew up with the glass ceiling. Many of us grew up thinking we weren't strong. I actually, when I was looking at one of the Facebook pages about the trail a couple of days before I went, just to see if there was any closures, I saw a post about a tree that was down on a trail and the woman had turned around. And a guy made a comment on the post about, women hikers. I was like, I'm sorry, what? I cannot tell you how many trees we bush bashed through, climbed over. And you know what? When we got to that particular tree, I was like, I recognize this from the post. That was a horrific trail. If I had not been trying to go all the way to Newcastle, I would happily have turned around on that trail, right? So we really need to be exposed to what's possible. And that brings me to my second point, which is this idea that representation matters. So one of my core points of Endurers is the final point, but it really underlies everything, which is the support systems. So we need to surround ourselves with people, but if we're women, particularly women who are actually doing things, so that we see people traveling, adventuring, going away on their own, running trails, setting up businesses, whatever the case might be. I was at Cristo Redentor the other day and I met a couple of lovely French guys, and one of the, so we hung out together and they took photos of me, which was great, and just had a nice little chat, broke up the monotony of the queuing. But one of them said to me, your husband doesn't mind you traveling on your own. He doesn't get a choice. Hello? So I think this is really, really important. The third thing is, I guess we can all go on adventures. So trail running is something that's open to so many people. Hiking is something that's open to so many people. I have just met these amazing people who just do amazing things. And I really believe that we've got to choose our own amazing. And that brings me to the next piece, is that if we take action, we actually build our identity. So we build our identity as strong humans, as people who can do anything, as capable individuals, as people who don't panic, as people who self-regulate under pressure. We do that by doing. We can't learn that by reading it in a book or procrastinating or, waiting for someone to give us permission. The next thing is the ripple effect of, setting ourselves big goals and big targets. So in my last episode, I talked about integration and how do we actually integrate that new identity? So how do we really celebrate our wins? How do we come back and lead differently in our work and in our lives? How do we set better boundaries? And so many of us, I honestly think we're playing it safe. Men, women, non-binary people, everyone, we're playing it safe. And great things live the other side of hard. So I really would encourage you to break this narrative of a safe life and expand what is possible. And if you're not around people who can show you what's possible, go and find them. Find the support networks you need, whether it's friends, whether it's community groups, whether it's colleagues, whether it's coaching, whatever the case might be. Find your people who will push you and encourage you and give you the confidence to step out of your comfort zone over and over and over again. Because I'm going to finish with a meme, or what was on a meme that I recently saw on Facebook, and it was just so appropriate. It was like, the problem with hanging out with runners is they convince you that you can do hard things. Now, you don't need to be a runner. You don't need to go and run from Sydney to Newcastle. You don't need to take up ultra marathons or triathlons or climbing Everest or whatever. But you do need to pick your heart and what is really the most meaningful to you. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow for more from Endures.